And UCLARadio, what's good with it? You are now tuned back into 4Sight, back from spring break. And today we got my man's A.CHAL in the building, a Peruvian singer, songwriter, and producer. What's going on?
What's good? What's good?
How you feeling? How was your week?
Shit, I feel very blessed. Nice Saturday here.
I hear it. So getting right into things, what was your first introduction to music?
Um, Man, probably when I was living in Peru, I was like maybe 3, 4.
Okay.
Um, just traditional Peruvian music.
Definitely. And how much does that still influence and impact like your creativity today?
It definitely influences it because like we got like like a tone to us musically and vocally. So like I feel like my music sticks out because like the kind of tones and frequencies you don't hear in all the other songs, and I gotta give credit to Peru for that, or South America in general.
Definitely. So you were born in Peru and then you moved to New York.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
what was that experience like?
Man, New York was crazy because it's a melting pot, and like going from just being around people who are basically just like you to going to New York where she got all sorts of people. The first school I went to was like a Greek Jewish school, and I mean beyond it just being American, it was all Jewish kids. I don't know why my dad did that. He's crazy for that. But I was getting in hella trouble because I didn't really understand the culture.
Right.
So like sometimes like kids would be like, let's do sign language, give me the D sign, right? And like I'll take my middle finger out and do a circle, and then the girl will rat on me. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? Or like hold your tongue and say apple, yeah, asshole. Like, oh, he's saying asshole. Just shit like that.
Right.
I didn't get. I get in trouble, and they'd be like, but yeah.
Right. So
Interesting.
when you made that transition in New York, when did like music come into the picture as far as like you writing and like creating music?
I feel like middle of high school for me. Well, I had moved to Massachusetts afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah. And I went to school there as well. And when I was out there, I was starting to go to school like in more like suburban areas. So I was spending a lot more like alone time because I just found it like less relatable the more and more I got older. So I spent a lot of time making music. And yeah, that's where I started like getting into my craft.
Definitely. So when you made that transition to the States, like what genres like did you gravitate towards the most?
At first, I'm not gonna lie, it was like alternative, like rock music. I really like the No Doubt for some reason.
Okay.
And then I started listening to. Once I heard Mace, I think Mace was like my favorite. Mace and DMX.
Right.
I didn't really understand what they were saying, but I was like, okay, I really was digging that. And from there, I was just fully in. Cameron. After that, Cameron, like, yeah.
And then like what specifically about those artists like made you like gravitate towards their music?
Shit, I don't know. Maybe it could be Mace was smooth, DMX, he had a lot of angst, but he had like guitars and stuff in there too.
Right.
And it reminded me of like Peruvian music in a way too. Cam was just like I just wanted to be Cam, so he was fly as fuck.
Right.
Yeah, like different reasons.
Right.
Yeah.
So you began producing, creating music in high school, and then after high school you moved to LA.
Yeah.
Or what's been like the most noticeable difference in your transition from New York to LA?
I say, well, I mean, it's a completely different pace of life. Like the pace of life out here is a lot slower. It's a lot more chill. I feel like the quality of life is better out here. You get to get the beach, the desert, the mountains, the canyons, the hills, the city. But New York is like where all the culture is brewing,
Right.
It's cutting edge. Like, I'm glad I grew up out there because I really got to get a sense of who I was and what I like. And then when I came out here, it's just a matter of using those things.
Definitely. And then how frequently do you travel? And like, what are some of your most favorite places to visit?
Man, I'm probably at my crib like twice a week if it's a good week. But I'm traveling a lot now, specifically more this year. But it's one of my favorite. I just came back from Texas. I really like Texas.
South by Southwest?
Nah, I was there too, but I just came back from Houston and Dallas, and I liked it a lot. It felt like it's different than like these like metropolitan cities because
Right.
people feel more grounded, more open. You know, they're not really on like their Hollywood shit.
Right.
I liked it.
All the way. So like when you're not doing like any music related or business related traveling, like what's some of your favorite places to go?
Man, I really like going to Peru. I know I'm Peruvian, but like I really like that country. They got the Amazon, they got Machu Picchu, they got the beaches out there. The food is crazy. Like really, like Peru's crazy lit.
Right.
Outside of that, Dominican Republic, Mexico. I'm being mad biased about my Latinos right now, but it's lit though. It's fine. I mean, you just came back from Mexico,
Rosarito.
right?
Yeah. It's cool. That was my first time in Mexico, so
It's hard to have like a bad vibe. You know what I mean? 'Cause
all the way.
everyone is like either really thankful,
Right.
or like just like loving, you know.
Yeah, you definitely kind of realize that, and then just being able to understand like the different privilege dynamics too.
Yeah.
I really rocked with like the people out there and was able to get away from the tourist shit for a second, just check out the local culture. But
Definitely.
on that topic, you just released a powerful visual, and like where did you shoot that at?
Oh, that was shot in Mexico actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't even there, but my boy Dexter Navy, who shot the video, went out there with the producer, and they went and shot it.
Where and what was like I guess the creative objective with that visual?
We wanted like something that felt like a mini movie that was like it wasn't a full story, but it was inspired by by this gang of kids in Peru named the Piranhas in Spanish, which is La Piranitas.
Okay.
And what they would do is they would find tourists that they felt they could rob, and they would surround them, first asking for candy, and then more ask for candy, and then they start feeling confused, and then they all just hurdle around them and rob them, take their jewelry, take their money, their purse, whatever, take their wallets, and they would call them Las Pirañas. And interesting enough, like piranhas in real life, when you put them in a fish tank, they eat goldfish.
Right.
So like we saw footage of piranhas gaining up on goldfish and eating them. We were like, oh, it's like the same thing. It was like we should just make a video based around that.
Right.
We did it in Mexico as opposed to Peru. So
Right. Why specifically Mexico?
it's just easier to get it done.
Right. I feel that. So when you're coming up with like those creative concepts, like for that last visual, like what inspires you in that process?
How the song feels. Also, like trying to give people something they don't expect.
Definitely.
But that fits the thing. Like I know what everybody wanted from that video. Like they probably want to see me in ass, swagged out, dripping, and just like performing.
Right.
Like I'd rather give them something they don't see coming, but also fits.
Definitely. And then your music bears like a lot of emotion and honesty. So like, what's the inspiration behind your storytelling?
I think that's just the kind of person I am. Like, it's not like I don't want to say like I'm an emotional, sensitive person like that. Well, all artists are, but it's more so like I definitely am tapped into like the things that are going on around me,
Right.
around the world at some points. So like I use that as an inspiration. I don't really walk around like with a shell, like trying to block everything, just focused on what I got to do. So I get inspired by that, and I got to be honest with myself. So
Definitely. So your two projects in right now, you had Welcome to Ghazi in 2016. This year you had On God. So like, can you explain to the listeners like your concept of like what Ghazi is for you and what it means?
Ghazi to me, it means a lot, but the main thing is love and freedom. Because, like, I feel like those are love equals freedom, in my opinion. You know, once you learn how to love something, you're free from everything that makes you either fear it or not like it. And to me, that's the way the world should work. Of course, survival of the fittest is also in play.
Right, right.
So it's a balance of both. It's like understanding that, but still being on your shit.
Definitely, definitely. And then how would you describe your music, like, in your own words?
Man, I would say, like, alien music. It's sexy, it's spiritual. I feel like it definitely takes you on a trance, you know.
Right, right.
It definitely opens up your third eye a bit.
Definitely. And then, like, a follow-up question with that is, like, how experimental are you, like, with drugs in your creative process?
Not as much as I used to be. Sometimes I'll dabble. If I don't have, if I got a block. But for the most part, I'm trying to do this sober as possible. Trying to just be as honest as possible, you know. That's my drug right now, honesty.
Definitely, that's dope. And then, so you initially got started off as, like, a producer, right?
Yeah. Actually, originally I started as a rapper, and I needed beats, so I started making beats, and then I knew rappers around me that needed beats, so I started selling them beats.
Word. And at what age was that?
This was like 14.
Word. So, like, right now in your career, are you, like, kind of more focused on, like, you know, creating, like, you know, your own musical content, or you still, like, heavily involved in the production process? Or
I'm more like, yeah, I always touch something up. Like, right now after this, I'm going to the studio to going with the mixer to mix the records. So I'm always at mixing it with him. I'm always, like, adding things here and there, or starting it with, like, a piano or guitar. I'm very involved, but, like, also, like, being an artist is a full-time gig, so you can't really, like, be on top of your production like I would have been before, you know.
Right. And then, so coming from Peru, like, adjusting, you know, to the culture of the States, and then beginning your own music career. When you first started off, did you ever kind of envision, like, where you would be at and the level you could get to?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, this was always the plan. I kind of feel like I'm playing catch up right now to where, like, I should be, but yeah, I never had a plan B, you know.
Definitely. And, like, were your parents, immediate social friends, family, were they always kind of on board and supportive of, like, your vision, or what was that like?
I mean, people that love me always, like, wanted the best for me, and sometimes they didn't think that this route was the best because it was very risky, but I don't know, maybe I'm just built different. But eventually they started seeing, once they saw the results, they started not feeling that way, you know.
Right. So, like, despite, like, you know, any potential discouragement or, like, experimentation, like, what kept you going through all that, like, as a creative?
Man, like, a bunch of things. That it changes. At first, it was to prove a point, really, just to all the people that doubted me, family, friends, people I met within the industry, like people that I've done music with. There's always in each chapter there's always someone that's doubting you, but I feel like I almost thank them more than anyone else, because, like, it's a good reason. It's a good, like, way to gauge where you're really at, you know. Because if you really, like, for example, right now, there's certain things you can and cannot say about me. Like, you can't say I'm not on my way, you know. Like, it's obvious. Definitely. I can't say I'm all the way there yet,
right?
You know, but, like, I couldn't have said that last year yet. And be like, yeah, he could be, but not. So you give him a reason not to doubt you, and because it's facts, then it really inspires me.
Right. And then at what point of your career did you have, like, that first breakthrough?
But I feel like I'm still having it, to be honest, yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, when I will say, though, when OVO Radio played Ghazi and Round Whipping, that was a good moment for me. A lot of people were introduced to me for the first time.
Definitely. And then once again, UCLARadio 4Sight is back. Just kick things off with the spring break. Today we got A.CHAL in the building with us, kicking it for an interview. We about to go ahead and get into some records and then pick it right back up. Y'all stay tuned. Let's get it. That record right there, I hope I don't get the name wrong, but
Perdóname. Oh, perdóname. That means pardon me.
Pardon me.
Yeah.
And then, like, what was, like, your overall concept and, vibe and aim with that record right there?
It's just the key word. If you got like if you're trying to keep a situation going with a girl that she mad at you, just say that.
I feel it. I'm gonna try that out next time.
Yeah.
See if that works.
Pardon me, even if you don't mean it.
Right. And then I feel it. And then so going forward, like, what's your immediate plans for the future?
But I was just trying to expand, trying to grow, trying to prove the doubters wrong, trying to prove the people that support me right, and just like giving people a full scope of what I could do and who I am. So we got some new music that's about to come out. We're very excited about. I'm mixing the album now, so it's an exciting time. I feel like definitely giving people a whole new, not a whole new vibe, but the vibe kind of always progressing,
Definitely. And then so earlier this month, it was, the Epic Records signing was announced. So first off, congrats on that. But what made you decide at this moment of your career to sign with Epic?
Because I was getting ready to release a new album, and I was like, okay, I want more push on this album. The records are bigger. They're not like, they're like really. I feel like they're pretty big records. So I wanted to get out there more, and I feel like I could only do that with someone who understands the kind of grassroots aspect, who's kind of tapped into the streets, the Latin world as well.
Right.
And I feel like Sony, Epic, they definitely tapped in.
Definitely, man. That's dope. And then, so like in past interviews, like you kind of lamented on like how music right now kind of incentivizes consumers to like spend music. So I had a question. Considering like that commercial framework, do you think culture drives industry or does industry drive culture?
Definitely culture drives industry, because the culture is the people. The people at the end of the day are consuming and making, so the industry is just trying to figure out how to capitalize off that, But yeah, it's really up to us.
Definitely. And then so you said you gearing up to deliver another project. So like, without like saying too much, like what's like the creative direction and aim, or I guess what can your fans and new listeners kind of expect?
This project's more targeted for the women.
Okay.
Yeah.
All the way?
Yeah. Not all the way, but it is more so. I didn't really do that in my other projects like that. Like, I did it a little bit, but this one is. I'm definitely more on my Spanish shit on this one, too. Definitely wanted to give something to girls to dance to. A lot of people listen to my music to, like, kind of chill.
Right.
Which is still cool. You still feel like that, but I wanted to make people get up a little more when they listen to my music. So that was one of my goals.
Definitely. Yeah. And then for your past projects and even the upcoming one, like what are some producers you've been tapping in with and working with?
For this one, like I'm always growing the little community. I feel like the greats, they always got their own producers or like the people they fuck with.
Right.
I'm still fucking with Count Justice, who did Ghazi. We got a crazy record together that it's like a reggaeton record. So just I did something with Tiago, who did Round Whipping. Again, it don't sound nothing like Round Whipping, but it goes. My boy Seven, who got to get his laptop fixed. He always got his laptop broken. It's annoying. But, bro, get your shit fixed.
All the way.
He did, Seven Thomas, he did a bunch of stuff for Drake, the work. Just a bunch of stuff. Who else? Then like home team, Cody Cost. He's not only my like my go-to engineer and vocal producer, but like he also like writes and produces. So he got a crazy one on there. His debut actually.
Okay.
Who else? And then my boy Phil, of course. Phil Good. He did Quanto. So again, it's the same team, you know.
Right.
Just, you got to keep feeding the people that you kind of started with, unless they're not good, but they're great. So
Definitely. And then you have like you know, a title like kind of decided on.
I'm going between 3 or 4 right now. I think once it's like fully done, I go through a process. Like I have it mixed first. I hang out with girls to it, see if I ever feel weird while I'm hanging out with them.
Right.
So I'm in that process right now.
Definitely. And then when it comes to performing, and like what can like fans expect at your performance? Like what type of atmosphere are you creating?
A memorable one, if I could. Just something that's memorable, something that's authentic, something that feels new, but also exciting.
Right. So when we look at like an energy level, like would it kind of be like listening session, like more dance heavy? Like what's like, you know, the crowd interaction like?
Nah, it's turned. It's definitely turned. Yeah. I can't have people just still swaying back and forth.
Right. With headphones and shit.
That's not gonna happen.
I feel. And then so like when is your next performance?
I'm actually going to Mexico to perform at a festival called Ceremonia. That's next Sunday. That's gonna be my first show in Latin America, period, actually. So it's gonna be lit. And I got an hour set at a primetime spot. Beck's performing, Ray Sherman's performing.
Oh yeah, that's lit.
Yeah, it's gonna be fire.
Definitely. And then just like right now, you know, the Latin music market is definitely kind of exploding. So like, you know, what are your thoughts just like considering that and just like the stage of music overall and where it's at right now?
I feel like overall the music's now controlled by the internet. Like the internet's the streets kind of, with not really the streets, it's fake streets, but like it's where people are getting their information from, and where the culture is kind of brewing. So if you're a kid in Puerto Rico and you like the Migos or you like Travis Scott, you're gonna start making music like them, you know, as opposed to before you only make music that's like regionally popular.
Right.
Whether it's reggaeton or whatever. So now you're hearing a bunch of Latin kids making music that is popular out here, music that you turn up to, and that's what we're seeing a result of. You know, a lot of people think it's a fad. It's like the Latin wave come and go, but this is just the internet, and I feel like this is gonna happen with all the countries. We saw something happen like that in Asia, where like Asian kids was doing trap music.
Yeah, that K-pop scene is going crazy right now. Yeah. And then so to follow up on that, we definitely seen like, you know, the impact of like Western culture, like more specifically, like rap hip hop is kind of having on the world.
Mm-hmm.
And then like earlier you talked about like, you know, your early interaction and influence with indigenous like Peruvian sounds. Do you ever like see like that indigenous culture and sound could start having more of a heavier impact within, you know, I guess like popular music?
Maybe. I mean, that's a goal. That's definitely one of my goals. It's definitely something different, you know? You got to open them up to it.
Right. And then even like for yourself and like, you know, your production process, have you been able to like successfully incorporate that slowly in any of your music?
Yeah, I feel like it. I feel like songs like To the Light, Round Whipping, they kind of got it.
Definitely.
Yeah. Even Loving Hennessy, actually.
Definitely. Yeah. And that was a pretty big record, so you kind of want to just, you know, like break down like when you released that. I saw you got 2 Chainz on the remix. So
yeah, I made that record about a year ago, but I mean, like it kind of took off on its own. I knew it was gonna be my bigger record though, cause it's simple. People like simple shit.
Right.
And as I progressed within my career, we wanted to. I had the opportunity to make a song with Nicky Jam and 2 Chainz, and they both liked the record. And you know, I'm a big fan of both of them, so I thought it was a good opportunity. Like, hey, just hop on the remix.
Right. What was it like working with the both of them?
I actually didn't work with either of them in the studio.
Okay.
But they're both great people, mad supportive, big fan of the work. So, you know, when I'm sure I'll meet them sometime soon. I should, you know.
Yeah, all the
but
way.
we're all busy, so yeah.
Yeah, facts. And then so your earlier point, like, you know, how fans, consumers, you know, they like simple shit.
Mhm.
As an artist, knowing that but wanting to push your creative boundaries and culture forward, like, are you ever kind of challenged, like, with that dynamic to where you're not trying to do too much? Like, what does that, like, look like in your own creative process?
I feel like the best creators know how to make prolific things simple, because you have to learn how to make something universally accepted or digestible, you know? Like, you can't, I mean, I like a lot of complex stuff, sophisticated art, literature, conversations, but when you can have that kind of dialogue as an artist, as a creative with everybody, then you know you're great because everybody understands it.
Definitely. That's a real poignant point. And then, like, outside of music, like, what other artistic mediums influence you, or do you even interact with?
Man, all sorts of stuff. I love movies. I like art. I love furniture. Anything that's man-made. Like, you gotta think when man is making things for people, whether it's for function or fashion, they have the opportunity to design what your life looks like.
Right,
you know?
right.
What your house looks like, with your bed, your couch, where the windows are, a car, how you feel when you sit, how it looks outside. Like, these are all material things, but at the same time, like, the design work really, like, creates how you feel and what you look like.
Right.
I'm a fan of that. I think music's part of that. You know?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And then you talked about, film inspiring you and whatnot. So, like, what movies, like, really had a big impact on you as a creative?
Lion King. Lion
feel
King's
it.
one of my favorite movies. Scarface, Paid in Full,
Yeah, Paid in Full is classic.
Death. I mean, I'm like all the classics.
I hear it. And then, have you had an opportunity yet for your music to be placed in any movies, TVs, or films yet?
Nah, not yet, but it's coming.
I hear that. That's dope. And then, kind of transitioning things, from a fashion perspective, like, how would you kind of like self-describe your style?
I think my style is like my music. It's just a mix of things, you know. It's a mix of street, something a bit indigenous,
Definitely.
something high end, but always relaxed.
Definitely. And then, if you had the opportunity to be the creative director for any brand, what brand would you choose and why?
Never got asked that. Let me see. A creative director.
Like, for like any of like your
Any
favorite
brand.
fashion brands,
It got to be fashion.
or anything in general, I guess.
Maybe like Apple.
Or why Apple?
Cause there's so much to do. There's so much you could do, you know. And plus, they got the check. They got the biggest bag.
Yeah, all the way. I feel it. And then, so you got the performance coming up in Mexico. What other things are you up to, like right now, or just in your immediate future?
Besides Mexico, I'm focused on the album right now. As soon as I do this Mexico show, I'm trying to fully get this album and like everything in play.
Right,
I got a lot of it done right now, but yeah, I'm headed there right now.
Definitely. So considering that, like, what does your like day-to-day look like as far as like you creating and like doing other music-related stuff?
I don't have time to be bored, so like I'm always in a way working or always designing.
Right.
So if I'm not making music, I'm promoting music, or I'm creating like what is gonna happen, what we're doing, or I'm trying to spend time with my friends.
Right.
But like my friends work with me, so it kind of works out, you know.
Yeah, that's dope as fuck. That's goals. And then like considering like somewhat of like a hectic schedule, like what are some ways you're able to kind of step back, practice self-care and like, just make sure you're overall in a good place?
Go like, man, I do like nature stuff, like go hiking, run, but also like making music, like you can't let go of that. Like I like
Right.
making music when I feel like if I'm like down or something, like I'll go make music because it'll get me back up, you know.
Right.
Or just like hit the beach. I'm a fan of nature.
All the way.
Aesthetically always inspires me.
Definitely. And then like with that, so like when I'm curious to know like your songwriting process. So like, does it come like once you kind of hear like some of the production, the beats, or like once you go through real life stuff, you kind of like journal that and it kind of turns into a song? Like, what does that look like?
It's different. Sometimes I write things down as I'm going through my day. Like maybe I say something to someone and think, oh, I could write about that. That's like a good topic. And I'll start, and then I'll go in the studio and have that written down. Sometimes I like going to the studio, smoke a blunt, and then hear a couple beats and just go off the top.
Word. And then speaking on that, like what's like your favorite strand of smoke? Indica, sativa, hybrid?
Probably hybrids. I'm not big on the indica heavy because I don't like being tired or sleepy.
Yeah, slump.
Yeah.
To how you slump.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll smoke like a spliff with like a coffee.
I feel
Yeah.
all the way. And we about to go ahead and cut into another break real quick. Once again, UCLARadio, you were tuned in. 4Sight, it's Wisco, and we got A.CHAL in the building today. We about to go ahead and cut that Love and Hennessy record and get ready to wrap things up. Y'all stay tuned. Let's get it.
Shout out FKI First and Spins for producing that. First is my brother. We got more records coming too. Yeah.
And then so far as that's like your biggest record out, huh?
It is. When that shit go in the club, it go crazy.
Yeah, I can imagine. So like, did you like kind of originally anticipated that it would kind of do numbers like that?
Yeah, I did.
Definitely. Yeah. I feel it. And so we got the follow-up coming. We had 2 Chainz on the remix.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? Before we get ready to wrap, you want to go ahead and drop the social media? For the listeners?
Follow me on Instagram. That's it, at A.CHAL, at A.CHAL. On Twitter, Alejandro Chal. That's my full name, Alejandro Chal. And you could, Spotify, A.CHAL, Instagram, Apple Music, A.CHAL too.
Word. And then even for like the name, like the abbreviation, A.CHAL, like how did you come up with that? Or like when did you come up with that?
Well, I had a brother that passed away. His name was A.CHAL, I-C-H-A-L. So I took the Alejandro, put the A dot, and made it A.CHAL.
Word. That's powerful. But as we get ready to close, wrap things up, is there any shout outs you want to get? Anything you want the people to know?
Shoutouts. Yeah, I want to shout out my whole team, my whole Ghazi team. Also, everyone at Epic that's here helping me. Everyone that's helping me in general, like all of us working together. I appreciate everybody, and all the listeners too. All the college kids, know what you want. Don't let the school tell you what you want.
All the way. And special thanks for Epic for being able to coordinate the interview. Appreciate you for coming through,
Definitely.
Kicking some game. We about to go ahead and get into the remix of that Love and Hennessy with 2 Chainz on it. You know what I'm saying? I know everybody finishing up their spring break weekend.
Yeah. This the remix. Shout out 2 Chainz, shout out Nicky Jam, shout out First, shout out Spins. We made a big movie with this one. We got both worlds in one pot. And yeah, it's going up.
Definitely, y'all be sure to go ahead and run them numbers up on streaming, Spotify, iTunes, A.CHAL in the building. Let's get it. Love and Hennessy remix.
Yup.
A.CHAL first.
Dame un poco love with some Hennessy. You know I like it when you're mad at me. I know you're with him, pero ven aquí. I know you're with him, but you calling me.
You the type of person eat your salad for your soup. You the type of person don't want no crib but want a coupe.